Gold and silver and Bitcoin got slammed in the last few days. There's all sorts of mayhem and volatility in the financial markets and the economic markets and the political markets everywhere. That's what we're going to be talking about in this video. Thank you again. Please like, comment, subscribe, and give us a thumbs up. And you'll find all the links for the guests in the description below. Hey, Alex. Hey, Tom. Thank you, guys. Which one of you want to take it away about gold and silver? Yes, I think so. Alex.
Well, as I've been predicting for a good while, gold and silver went pretty much parabolic. They went vertical, and then they went vertical down, which was just an insane experience. Mm-hmm. And then I have to also brag a little bit because you particularly, Rich, have been picking my ass apart over my claim that I would buy Bitcoin at $20,000, and at the time it was trading close to $120,000, and you were like, "Ha ha ha
ha!" Well, and you almost got there.
So I made 3 trades on Bitcoin, all 3 of them short, made money, and I'm still okay. I have to amend my prediction. I'm not sure that I'll be able to buy Bitcoin at 20,000, but I'm pretty sure I'm going to be able to buy it at 40,000. So he who laughs last laughs can't get fooled again, whatever.
Heartily.
Which by the way,
heartily.
Right? Okay.
People should check out Alex Krainer's trend following system. Links in the description below. Tom.
I'm going to say, when markets get the way they did, and completely overextended the way they did, like gold, silver, and Bitcoin, not, but certainly gold and silver, you expect the correction to the downside. What I'll tell you, Alex, is it's funny. I'm such a veteran of these kinds of slams in gold and silver. I didn't. My heart didn't even skip a beat. I just looked at it and went, oh. Yeah. Oh, look, 75? What a shock. I mean, our mutual friend Vince Lanci was saying, look, they could pump it up to 150 in silver, and then we'll see it come back down to 50. And I'm like, yeah. I mean, when markets get that out of balance, right? And if you have a major actor, which in this case would be JP Morgan, refusing to release the form of silver that was in short supply, which is 1,000-ounce, good for delivery COMEX and LBMA bars, then they're in control of the market. And when they decide to release that metal into the market, that's when the thing will be over. When they've made enough money, or when they've twisted somebody's nuts hard enough, that's when it'll be over. I don't have receipts on this. I have only my intuition and my 25 years of watching the way gold and silver trade to tell you that at some point on Thursday/Friday, somebody made a deal and cried uncle. And then the tape got painted into the end of the month close to make things not so bad for certain people. And oh, by the way, now we get the reload. We're doing this on Friday afternoon, 2/6. And guess what? Gold has bounced $3,000, $300 an ounce. Bitcoin's bounced 10 grand since the overnight last night. It was trading around 70. It hit a low of 61 last night. I know that when every 20 minutes somebody's texting me with the Bitcoin price, I'm like, bottom in 3, 2, 1. You know what I mean? Same thing when, oh my God, silver's 135. I'm like, top in 3, 2, 1. And it's just, this is the, when you study markets this way and you understand that markets are an expression of the emotional state of people, and you realize that those emotional extremes can't be maintained. Eventually everybody gets out of that mode and they go, and that's it. You can only you can only orgasm for so long straight. And then you have to finally let it all go. So that's the thing. Now, the other side of that, of course, is that if you get the market bullish on the one side too far, and then you get the bottom, you get the what's going to be interesting in gold, for example, is do you see the V-shaped bottom, and not just the V-shaped bottom, but the V-shaped bottom to a reversal signal? Which means that you then wound up with actually a false move down, as Martin Armstrong would put it. And that's what I'm going to be watching for in the coming days. I'm not saying it's going to happen. I'm saying that's what I'm going to be watching for. Silver, it doesn't look like we're going to get that bounce, where it looks like it's going to be down and there, because clearly there are so many people out there who bought at $20, $30 an ounce. They want to get their 100 or their 80 and they're happy to get out. And there's going to be plenty of supply into the market over the course of the next couple of months. And actually it would be good for silver to just take a breather for six to 8 weeks. And then we go from there. And then Bitcoin, it's again, we've gotten emotional to the downside. Once Bitcoin starts trading below its cost to mine, that's when you usually start to see a bottom. And the difficulty on the Bitcoin difficulty on the network will attenuate down as miners fall off and all this stuff. And then eventually, they'll come back into balance and then we'll see what happens. But the big thing is that Scott Bessent, the US Treasury Secretary, has reiterated his point over and over and over again that Bitcoin is incredibly, and crypto legislation in the United States is incredibly important to their plans to remake the American economy and to remake the American system of how we're going to move money and control the flow of money. And because of that, I don't know that we'll see Alex's $40,000, but that's okay.
We will, and then Alex will laugh at us. He will cackle.
And by the way, if gold is at $7,000 an ounce when that happens, I'll be laughing too, because I'll have rotated out of any gold positions I have and be buying Bitcoin along with Alex at 40 grand. That's all I have to say, folks. That's all I got to say.
Okay, Alex?
Yeah. Well, it's all very interesting. To me, the thing that got me that got my attention was that 10 days ago over the weekend, or was it 2 weeks ago? When was it? A week ago, maybe. It
was a week. Yeah,
a week ago. So Thursday, 10 days ago, 8 days ago, silver hit 120 some dollars, over 120. Friday, 118, and it closed there somewhere high. And the curve, the daily chart was looking vertical, completely vertical. Yeah. And then over that weekend, there was like a whole bunch of these viral videos about JP Morgan short squeeze. There was this memo that went to all the executives. The bank is failing. Their own analysts were predicting that the price would go to 400 and something. And then there was some analysis report from Bank of America that silver is going to 300 and something. Right. And so it was all just like very alarmist stuff about silver. And I thought, okay, cool. This gives me something to write about in my Trend Compass on Monday, because this is always an agony for me, deciding what the hell I'm going to be writing about every day. And so I thought, like, okay, I'll write about silver. But you see, when they start doing this, then the last shoe shine boy thinks like, say what? $400 an ounce? And now it's still the low 100 and some? Well, I better get in there for that free $300 this year. How awesome is that? So I think like, okay, this is the sign that you should probably cash in your chips, at least part of them, keep dry powder, and wait for a correction. And I put in my newsletter, wait for 20, 30, or 50% correction. And dear God, who thought that the next day you'd get 30% correction?
Right. Yeah.
But that was insane, extremely interesting. And I think there's more of that. But I think that, the precious metals are the 2025 news. The 2026 news is going to be the bonds Armageddon. Because they're telling you European, British, and Japanese bonds are going to the toilet. And I think that the US bonds are probably going to accompany them a part of the way. But maybe a good way to trade this bond Armageddon is either go straight short or go short and hedge with US bonds. You're going to
say a bit more about that. Agree. Which ones? Which one's first? British, European?
10 years. I prefer the long dated bonds because they're the most volatile. They move the most. If you If you trade 2-year treasuries, 5-year treasuries, they barely move. You have to be leveraged 30 times to even for it to even do anything. But if you trade 10 years and longer, those things move. And
the reason they move, Alex, is because that's where the central banks play.
Yes.
Now, so what I'm going to agree with everything Alex just said, and this is why I watch bond spreads. This is why I watch U.S. German spreads, U.S. UK spreads, German Italian spreads, French Italian spreads. I think if you really want to know whose bonds are the most vulnerable of these, it's the French bonds. I think
the French?
Yeah, absolutely, because they're losing against the Italians and the Germans and the Americans at the same time.
And the Greek probably, no?
Maybe. Well, if I were Greece after the Epstein files, I'd be filing I would cancel all of my debt to Germany and everybody else, and then present them with a bill at tank point, because the Greeks, of course, are the most heavily armed people in Europe on a per capita basis. So they just drive all of those American tanks into Berlin or Brussels or Frankfurt or whatever and go, here's the fucking bill.
But I do watch Greek news on the regular.
Okay.
And the Greek news are saying that Epstein used to work for the Turks. So I think just to be certain, just to be on the safe side, they should attack Turks instead of the French and the Germans.
Well, by attacking the Turks, you're actually attacking the British by proxy. So I mean, hey, at this point, it's all
the British are going to be relieved. Okay, like our two clients are going to bleed each other white. Phew, we fooled them again.
Yeah, but I would say that watch the French debt really carefully, because it's the French-Italian spreads that have been very, very interesting. Italy has been slowly but surely replacing the German Bund as the safe haven trade of Europe, because Italy's bonds, long-dated bonds, are the only ones that are going down in yield.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah. Go look. Like
I've been tracking. Why?
Well, because which one of the major European governments has the backing of the United States?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's the key. Understand that that's part of what I've been reading into this. That I do this on for the market reports. I know you watch them, you listen to them, Rich. You know what I'm talking about. That what I'm getting at here is I talk about this all the time. I've got the chart. The daily charts of the French-Italian 10-year spread, the German-Italian 10-year spread, all of these guys. And I can time the peaks and all of them based on when Christine Lagarde is intervening in the German Bund market to keep it capped. You go look at the German 10-year. The German 10-year has now moved up to the new Maginot line is now 285 or 290 on the German 10-year. Above that, Armageddon. But what's the catalyst for that to finally that bond Armageddon? And again, going back to what we were saying, I think we said in the other video, which is that the day the SCOTUS in the United States finally validates Trump's tariffs, that's the day when anybody who's still got money trapped in Europe is going to be like, okay, that's enough. I can't do this anymore, because they're hoping that this trade will reverse itself if the tariffs are invalidated, and then the United States got to pay everybody back. And that would be financial Armageddon for the United States. That's clearly not going to happen. And so therefore, what we're waiting for is the day for the SCOTUS to finally say, that's it, this game's over. And then everybody can go, well, maybe it's a different catalyst, but this is the most likely catalyst for me. Because clearly what we've seen, the BOJ is saying we're going to raise interest rates. Takaishi on Sunday is going to the polls to secure her power. Trump's backed her. He's given Japan their independence papers as well, saying you're independent now. You can set monetary policy and fiscal policy and everything else for yourself. And we have your back. Same thing in many ways. I think he's done the same thing for the Italians. The French, on the other hand, are raiding Elon Musk's offices in Paris, threatening, Armageddon on everybody. Literally, threatening, go to nuclear war with the United States if they take Greenland. All of this stupid stuff. this is clearly the the split. And so Alex's Bondmageddon is absolutely on the table. And then, of course, JP Morgan comes out with a statement the other day, an analyst note saying, by the end of the year, we're looking at $10,200 gold. Now, normally we would read that as a counterfactual signal. If that came out of Goldman Sachs, I would be like, oh, gold's going to 1,500, right?
Right.
But Morgan, being the custodian of GLD and SLV and the chosen bank to secure the physical gold and silver supply of the United States, if they're saying that, that's a different story now. That analyst didn't get fired from JP Morgan for saying that. Yep. Normally, if this was 2010, that guy would have already been fired and sent to Guantanamo and waterboarded. Not in 2026. In 2026, he's being taken seriously.
Yep.
So, there's a split on Wall Street of which banks are the important ones. And again, this goes back to all this stuff that I've been saying for a long time, trying to identify which are the banks that are supporting the return of Trump and America and which ones are against it. And BofA and Citigroup, I think, are still the two that are the worries. Yep. The guys that are worrisome at this point. But okay,
so I want to go back to what you said about the French government raiding the ex offices in Paris.
Sure.
And this ties into the video that we recorded earlier about how Trump is using the argument that Trump is using the Epstein files in order to dethrone Starmer's government and rescue the British from the WEF tyranny.
Right.
And this is to you, Alex. How do you think the X raid is going to play out? Plus, also, there's all the stuff that the UK Ofcom is doing, trying to censor Americans in America. It's just apparently Americans have this thing called the First Amendment. Alex, I don't know what that is.
Look, this censorship system has been designed to unroll it globally.
Yes.
Okay. And if the American people, and thank you, you have indebted the world, had not elected Donald Trump and went with Kamala Harris instead, this censorship system would be global now.
Yes.
Okay. It's not just the censorship. It's very insidious and very clever. You know, our friend Efrat.
Efrat
Senegilson. She went to Australia, and when she was in Australia, she was going to, do her stuff, like write her Substack articles. And when she went to her Substack account in Australia, the system was asking her to verify her age. So now she had to go to Australia and state whatever to upload her ID and to prove her identity so that they would allow her into her Substack account so that she could write her articles. So she thought, the hell with you all. I'm gonna finish my stay in Australia. She went to Indonesia, and then she was going to do this in Indonesia. Well, guess what? When she got to Indonesia, she couldn't get out of that system. Her Substack was still blocked with the request to prove her identity. So this thing somehow went into her system in Australia, and now it's going with her elsewhere.
Mm-hmm.
So like once they nab you, that follows you along. And so you see, this is and then like if you're the average person, what are you going to do? You're going to say like, oh well, what the hell, I'll just upload my ID and well, they just got you hooked into the digital ID, because now you're going to start getting used to like showing your ID in order to do this and this and this and that. And then they're going to say like, well, no, not this ID. You're going to have to get that one.
Yep.
And now you've accepted that you have to show your ID papers, that you have to show your papers digitally in order to be able to interact online. which means that the gates only unlock if you comply. And you've now been connected to some server that says, okay, Tom can write his newsletter, Rich can upload his videos, Alex can write his Substack. Or they may say, you've been naughty, and now we're gonna shut the gate. There you go. So this is what's coming, and this is what they're trying to do. And this is why I think the fight between X and the European governments is going to be one of those, watershed moments for humanity, because if by some mistake the European drive for censorship prevails, then we're all cooked. And this is why I think that the Trump administration has no choice but to push back at risk of war, at risk of actual hot war erupting.
Yes.
I think it's not going to come to that because the Europeans are not capable. They would just get their asses whooped. But they're going. It's come down to this existential battle between the two systems, and the Europeans have to go with this rigid control matrix, and the Americans have to destroy their rigid control matrix.
Yeah, agreed.
And so
Alex,
yeah.
What I'm going to say is Mike Benz did a good 15-minute video on this. I don't know if that's gone viral on X about the 2020 election cycle. If we don't get the infrastructure in place to be able to fight this, they're going to put fine pressure. They're going to fine Google and X and everybody else into the poorhouse and not be able to function. And we're not even going to be able to speak online if we don't fight them here. So this is a big deal, and you're absolutely correct. And that's what he was saying. He's like, look, just you need to threaten to leave NATO. But no, they don't. They actually want you to leave. They actually want us to leave NATO because because we're the only thing stopping them from moving into friggin' Ukraine. Like at this point, so this is the way they're playing. They're setting the chessboard up. Like, oh, we're going to make this move. Well, then if you leave NATO, then we get to do this. This is why they were playing that game over Greenland. Like they were trying to get the United States to leave NATO over Greenland, to this, that, and everything else. So, no, you're absolutely correct, Alex. This is very, very dangerous. It's and the Digital Services Act is going to have to be fought root and branch. I have good news on that front. This morning, I saw that Polish President Karel Nawrocki said no to the Digital Services Act in Poland.
Very good.
No,
great.
That's a very good sign, because the Poles, again, like the Italians, and now again, the Italians are Meloni is still in a very, very tenuous situation in Italy, but there's also some good news coming out of Italy in that Matteo Renzi, who's her primary Daboghian opponent in Italy, is now looking very, very. He looks like he's on very thin ice. We're starting to watch the Italian media move against him. We're starting to see a lot of things happening on that front as well. I've got people in Italy making me aware of what's going on there. So you take those two polls, you've got Hungary, you've got Robert Fico in Slovakia, and they're going to continue to push this for as long as and as hard as they can. But the truth of the matter is that this is why I do believe that we go back to gold and silver. The way you put these people's nuts in a vice is you bankrupt them over them having to deliver on the precious metals side, and because now you reprice the collateral, and now everything changes. Why do you think they're attacking Bitcoin? All of that makes perfect. All of these things make sense in that respect, because this is ultimately, it's not just the two systems of governance at a civic level, but also control over the flow of money, which is the means by which the empire has virtualized itself and now wants to virtualize itself once more with the panopticon and AI and all of this stuff. All of that has to be destroyed root and branch. Every last bit of it. And we have to be aware of that's where the next front in this war has been opened up. And now we have to attack it. And so you can attack it on the financial side of it. You can, and if necessary, let's go. Let's now you start going to war again, even more so against after their proxies, right? And that's why they're making these moves now, because we're downstream of the exfiltration of Maduro, the attempt to take out what's left of the axis of resistance and the British influence in Iran, right? That's another side of this as well. This is all part of the same war.
Yeah, and it is a total global war. It is fifth generation warfare. We've been at war for ages, and it broke out into the open in 2020. And I did a recording with Johnny Vedmore, British independent journalist, on fifth generation warfare, which, as we record this on 5th of February, isn't live yet. So do subscribe, comment, like. Alex, Tom, thank you both. Look forward to speaking to you again soon. Alex, you're going to be on with me and Vladimir Brovkin soon, who is a retired professor of Russian history. And he's very, very
Brilliant.
Interesting. Very interesting.
I can't wait to watch that one. That one's going to be good.
Okay. Well, one of them is going out live today, Tom. So, so comment, like, but you know that because you subscribe and comment and like, and Alex falls asleep to my videos.